We're coming in hot to give you our hot takes on all the latest mental health news.
From headlines and memes to developments and breakthroughs.
We go into this show blind with the hopes of learning something new.
Before sharing some bunny hugs.
And leaving with our eyes wide open. I'm Nick.
And I'm Todd. And this is Mental Health Headline Hot Takes.
We're glad you're here.
Okay, hi everybody.
Hello, welcome to another week. I have deja vu. Do you have deja vu?
Yeah. I go first.
All right.
Okay. For those of you listening, I was spinning the wheel to see who goes first. Okay,
it's easier than rock, paper, scissors, that's for sure.
It is. So this story is from the Indiana University School of Liberal Arts, and it's called Reproductive Grief Screening Tool Could Reshape Mental Health Treatment and Open Conversations About Loss. And it is from a lady called Julia Hodson. So this is from some researchers are getting together. One is Jennifer Butte and Maria Brand. They're in the Department of Communications and Studies at the university there. And they're trying to come up with some kind of tools for women that have complex grief around birth. Very different than post-traumatic stress. They say we grieve about many things, but it's a different type of grief when you're grieving the loss of an unborn child. It says the stigma around reproductive loss often silences those who are experiencing it. In their research interview, Butte and Brown found that both individuals and physicians often struggle with navigating conversations like that. We have this kind of societal rule that you don't even mention that you are pregnant until you get past the first trimester because of fear that you'll have to tell someone that you lost a baby. So even before you
I know. I have plenty of people in my life that have struggled, even very recently, with fertility problems, losing babies. It's and then the stigma that comes with that too for them when they do get pregnant, and it's guilt, and it's like, what if it happens again? And now I feel guilty for the other people struggling. It's a very, very, very timely topic. I think we're kind of like changing the way that we look at this in general. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
Mm-hmm. No, that's okay. Brian also says, so we're not even supporting women for their excitement with a pregnancy because they're already like have this mindset of don't even tell anybody until it's quote unquote safe. We don't want to support you when you have this loss either. So it's really difficult. A lot of women don't communicate what they're feeling or what they're experiencing because of the fear of being hurt again. They say that there's a lot of, people say things to try to make them feel better, but it often makes it worse. Like, well, at least the baby wasn't born and then died. It's like, well, no, what's the difference? I'm still grieving.
I really hope we're past people saying something like that, but I fear we're not.
Well, I guess it depends on the person. But it says, at least you weren't that far along. You could always try again. At least the baby, wasn't born and you lost it. So, that's very hurtful. So then they have a couple things of advice to say to people that have lost a child. Let them know that you're there for them. Let them know you have the right to feel any emotions that you're experiencing. Offer nonverbal support such as a comforting hug or simple listening, and do not trivialize the loss. So, some of the things you can say, I love this one because everybody feels like they have to say something to make you feel better. This one is, I don't even know what to say right now, but I'm so glad you were talking to me about it. That's huge.
Yeah, that would be. Man, the amount of times I'd love to hear someone say that to me over the years.
Yeah, because so often not that, I've gone through this experience, but just, I quite often I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just talking because I need to talk. Yeah.
I think that's a challenge, and in general. But when it comes to like child loss or women and and fertility challenges or whatever that is. I think it's just such an ambiguous thing because you really don't know what to say, especially because it is, again, it's like a little ambiguous. It's not as tangible if you haven't gone through it as most things are, but or are not. But yeah, that's tough. I know I've struggled in those situations with what to say because all I want to do is be supportive and do the right thing and say the right thing and or not say anything if that's the right thing.
Right.
I think another good one though is to ask, I'm glad you're talking to me about it, but also what can I do for you? Not, is there anything I can do for you? What can I do for you?
Mm-hmm. There's a couple other ones here too that they said, I can understand why you feel this way. This must be really hard for you, and I'm here for you. So super simple things, but I said that I haven't been in this experience, but I was. Okay, I'll say it. We lost a child really early on when we were first trying to get pregnant with our first son. Like, we found out she was pregnant, and it was like a week later. So it wasn't like,
right.
But still, it's still a grieving moment. And I didn't even know what to say to my wife, to be honest with you.
And I'm sure she didn't know what to say to you either. I mean, that's such a, I can't even, watching close friends of mine go through this even a couple times. It's just very sad, and they don't know what they need necessarily or how to be there for each other too.
It is complex grief.
It's very
I've heard that
complex
term before, but I've never really understood it until, actually thought about it.
Yeah.
Because it isn't a tangible thing. It was this thing that was, oh man. It's so nuanced because then it's like I'm pro-abortion, but also, well, that's another thing they said. People that even go through abortions grieve and need some kind of,
absolutely. I mean, I know, I know people in my life that have made that decision and are very grateful that they were able to have that option. Right. But also they feel a sense of loss too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know women that are in their 50s and they're still struggling with their decision they made when they were 18.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice that
I think it's
people are thinking about it.
Yeah, and I think it's good to think about it. I think it's good to open up space and have obviously conversations about things that are nuanced or things that are very taboo almost, or have been taboo for so long. And the part that I think is also interesting, and I don't know, I don't think it's my place, having never had a child or tried to have a child, but I also don't necessarily think people who do, whether you struggle or not with infertility, like, you shouldn't hide or have to keep your pregnancy private. I don't think. I get like waiting a certain amount of time, right? You wait until it's more viable or whatever that terminology is there. Sure, but I don't think people should do it out of guilt for not being able to be happy because some people are having trouble. I think those are two completely different things that should operate with two completely different compasses. What do you what do you think about that?
So you're saying people should be happy, like, women are maybe not saying things because they're worried of hurting other women's feelings that have lost.
Yeah. And then feeling the guilt that either they didn't have those challenges or they had those challenges, but now have managed to
be successful in the,
and I've had some nuanced conversations in the friend group where, one of the couples is expecting and one of them is trying, and it's like, what's the line of when it's okay to, and it is like, I get it, but I don't think, as much as my heart breaks for people who struggle with that, with fertility and struggle with pregnancy loss or anything like that, I don't think it's necessarily, it's not the same thing as someone celebrating that they are growing their family or bringing a new person into the world. I think they're different. I think they have to be different. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to talk about anything because somebody's going to get triggered,
Yeah. I guess, that's just the human nature
But
part of
also,
it. Because
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm talking about one last thing on that. This is just very fresh because this is going on in my very close knit group of friends. These things have happened over the last year. The other thing is I don't think that the person who's struggling, I think they are absolutely entitled to feel hurt when they're or triggered
jealous or
or
whatever.
jealous. Yeah, I think that's also a totally natural feeling, and that's allowed too. So it isn't one or the other is my point. They're two separate paths, even though they're on the same topic.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I was going to add when I was like, it's only human nature to like, for that woman to feel jealous or,
Mm-hmm.
And then it's up to her not to feel maybe resentful to the other person or whatever. But
That's a good point too. That's actually a very good point.
God, it's complicated. And
Yeah.
well, we should really just have black and white discussions from now on.
Yeah. Good
Oh,
point.
and by the way,
that wouldn't be very fun though.
No, I wanted to make a quick update on the MAID. That's a medical assistant in dying around mental health in Canada. Decision has been made, and they're pushing it back again until 2027. So,
okay.
Odds are nothing's going to be happening for quite a while.
They just keep kicking that down the curb.
Yeah, and if you look at the polls, it's quite possible we'll have a completely different political party ruling by then. So we'll see what happens. And that party definitely won't. They're not backing that bill.
They're not going to do that.
No.
Well,
yeah.
Is Trudeau up for election?
Well, he's still the leader. He's still the prime minister, but there's people within his party that are saying, "Hey, buddy, maybe it's time to step down and find a new leader."
Yeah, hit the road, Justin. Good riddance. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. I mean,
if you are, it's okay. We don't have to argue.
No, I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but at the time who he was running against, he was the best of the options. But now it's like, he's getting a little long in the tooth, and it's like, okay, pal, let's get some fresh blood in there. Yeah.
Well, hey, at least you've still got best of the options. We're looking at like harm reduction in the United States at this point.
I heard a rumor.
I
heard a rumor in the States.
What rumor?
Joe Biden's going to step down and Michelle Obama's going to run.
Dude, what?
Google it.
I know it's a rumor, but like what, where are you getting that from? Are you watching One News Network or something?
It was on TikTok.
I was going to say, did Trump write about this on Truth Social? Listen, I'm all for Joe Biden stepping down. I actually think it's incredibly ridiculous that he is running. He can't complete a sentence. And I feel for him and his family because I feel like it's elder abuse at this point. He's clearly, he needs to step down. So to sum that up, I think Joe Biden should step down. I think his family should encourage him to step down and that he should live his remaining days peaceful without the stress of whatever a president does all day. All right. My turn.
Sounds good. Yes.
So this one, I've fully switched my opinion since I selected this article because at first it was a different way. So my article is on ABC News. A lot of you probably saw this. The headline is "Why the Internet is Talking About Elmo's Tweet," and this is written by the Good Morning America team, which I guess they now collectively write articles about Elmo. But Elmo the other day X-Twittered on X-Twitter. Elmo is just checking in. How is everybody doing? And the replies were initially, in my view, not very good because one person replied, "Honestly, Elmo, I need a hug." Another wrote, I shouldn't have rushed wanting to be an adult. I need a big break, guy. Another person said, feeling of existential dread and that they're just barely hanging on. And even some celebrities hopped in there. Rachel Zegler, who's an actress, said, resisting the urge to tell Elmo that I'm kind of sad. Rapper, singer, T-Pain posted, I'm just looking for somebody to talk to and show me some love, if you know what I mean. Continued on, our famous, just talked about President of the United States chimed in on X Twitter and said, I know how hard it is some days to sweep the clouds away and get to sunnier days. Our friend Elmo is right. We have to be there for each other, help our neighbor in need, and above all else, ask for help when you need it. Even though it's tough, you are never alone. And Elmo replied, wow, Elmo is glad he asked. Elmo learned that it is important to ask a friend how they are doing. Elmo will check in again soon, friends. Elmo loves you. # emotional well-being. So my initial thought on this was, well, here's what's frustrating about this, because you know how I feel about like shining lights on awareness of things once in a while that happen every single day. But as I started thinking about this more and reading through more of the replies, I changed my mind, and I was like, this actually gave a opportunity or an opening or some space for people to share how they were feeling and say something to X Twitter in the form of a Muppet and share the truth of how they're feeling. And it kind of opens up and shows that a lot of people are struggling. And it is not just random people that are on X Twitter. It's people that we see, with fame and fortune and success. And, I don't know exactly what it is that caused people to feel comfortable opening up to Elmo, but I just wonder if it's something like that child, like Elmo's a safe space, right? Elmo's never going to judge anybody. He's a big part of our childhood and your kid's childhood, I'm sure, and society from for a long time. And so I think it kind of gave a space and a person, or a Muppet, I should say, that people felt like they could be honest with, trust, and know that they can say they're not okay without judgment or fear of judgment.
Yeah. It's yeah, I can see how you struggled with it a bit, because it's not nice that so many people are suffering right now, but it's nice that Elmo asked how everyone was doing, and people trusted enough to be open and vulnerable and trauma bond with each other and Elmo.
Yeah, and I saw a meme too that was like funny, and it was someone saying, "I'm resisting the urge to trauma dump on Elmo."
But, Elmo needs therapy now.
I know, poor Elmo. Poor Elmo's been trauma dumped. But I do think I'm very interested in like the psychology of it. Like, why are we more comfortable talking to a Muppet than we are to each other? And I think that right there is something that's interesting to explore and think about. But I hope that this is something that continues. I hope Elmo does check in again, and I hope people do get more comfortable. And I hope if you see someone who is struggling, whether it's on Elmo's X Twitter or whether it's on in your everyday life or anywhere on social media, like just send a nice comment, send some support, say I'm here for you, and you can maybe give someone that space.
Yeah, it's like we were saying before. You don't have to give an answer. You just have to be an ear and, a safe space for someone to be vulnerable.
Exactly. And I know we've talked about this before, but I say things to my dog that I never would say to someone in real life. And I think this has kind of gotten me to think about that and be like, well, why? Why would I say that? And I know that he's going to be there and he's going to love me and he's going to stick with me no matter what I tell him. It could be good or bad, or tell him he's a bad boy when he's bad and he still sticks by me, So I can I feel like there's a sense of that too, where it's just, the
unconditional love.
It's unconditional love. That's exactly it. So yeah. I found this initially. I know I texted her. I was like, I've got my article, and but I changed my mind, and I think that's I think it's good to have a safe space that opened up, even if it comes from Elmo on X Twitter.
Yeah, and you're making a billionaire more billionaire-y by using that app.
Right. I haven't been on that app in a long time, but
I never understood that app ever. I tried and I was like,
it's just a bunch of people
understand how
dunking on each other and then trauma dunking and dumping. Dunking on each other and trauma dumping on Elmo.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's I can't even understand how to follow the threads and stuff. I'm just weird.
It's not a good user experience, and it hasn't updated in like the 10, 15 years it's been around. So I don't know.
Yeah. So Nick, how are you doing?
I'm here.
Tell me something you would tell your dog and no one else.
I'm looking at him. He just got back from the groomer. You know
Does he go crazy when he gets home?
Oh my gosh, when he comes out of there, I call it Guantanamo Bay. So it's like he is out of there like a bat out of hell, man. He can't wait to get out of there and get home. Now he's exhausted because he runs like he's escaping prison. He really does. He's running like he's running from the cops.
Yeah, my dogs go crazy when they get home. They just chase each other and rub and roll and anyway. And then that makes my day a little brighter watching that.
I always do tell him he's a little well, I say he's a little lifesaver, but more so because he kind of like forces me to get up on days I don't want to get up. Take him outside, stuff like that. So those days, it's kind of like he gets me up and going when it seems like it's a big lunge to do so.
Right.
And I also tell him that he is the best of all the boys, and there's a lot of boys out there, like good boys.
That's what I tell my dog too. And that the female is the most beautiful. I call her brown sugar because she's brown. But yeah. There's a story we could do, pets and old people
I know.
And give you purpose to get up. But anyway, yeah. I apologize again. So yesterday, Nick and I recorded for like an hour and a half, and I forgot to hit record. So
you don't have to apologize.
So we had to pick new topics for today and discuss them. Yeah. But anyway, I hope you have a good weekend, buddy.
Yep, you too. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day wherever you are and however you're listening to this.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Peace. This has been our Mental Health Headline Hot Takes.
We're so glad you came.
Remember, when you heal yourself,
you heal the world.
Be sure to like this video, leave comments, and suggest articles for future episodes.
Hit subscribe to Eyes Wide Open
and Bunny Hugs and Mental Health.